non-attachment to outcome or expectation. I think you can interpret it in many ways, but it's about kind of finding your happiness basically from within, finding your peace from within rather than from external sources. I think that's kind of the root of the philosophy.
Yo, thanks for locking in. Today's guest on the Jyim Life podcast is Daria. Daria is one of my yoga instructors here at the gym who has been absolutely killing it since she's come to LA. Today, we're going to talk about a concept called non-attachment and do a little bit of yoga. Let's vibe out.
Hi, Jyima.
What is up, Daria?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Right? You dealing with this LA heat?
It's hot. It sure is hot.
I feel like people are getting exactly what they asked for because it's been so dark and gloomy for so long.
So much rain.
Right?
Now it's summer.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like attendance has picked up where you're teaching your classes, or it's been kind of steady the same?
People, I think, are in there for the summer, you know? It's hit or miss, though, because some people are traveling, you know, but it's been pretty good.
It is a heavy travel time, I've noticed.
Yes.
But what is funny, I've noticed this time of year being in this industry is that it's like when we get that first little inclination that summertime is coming and it's time for bathing suits.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now it's time to turn up.
We're ready. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Good.
So over there, you're doing fitness classes and yoga.
Fitness and yoga. Yep.
Right. So now one of my biggest weaknesses is yoga.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
It's not true.
It's a mindset.
Look, so we're going to do some practice today.
We'll get you there.
And try to get through some things. And we're going to dive into one of the things we talked about earlier, which is no outcome attachment.
Non-attachment.
But there was a terminology you had used.
Raga.
And that's a yoga term.
It's a yoga term. Yes.
And that means
non-attachment. Yes.
I want to really dive into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
All right. So what I'm going to do is let's go over the moves that we're going to do today.
Okay.
So what we're going to do first is have you do the yoga flow with me. After that, the circuit we'll do is we're going to go for a stretch, hamstring stretch into a lunge. So the first one will be on either leg. You could choose. Then we drive back into that stretch, and then we're going to come up for a rep of 10, up into a lunge, right? So you just step right up. So we're down, feel that stretch, and then we step right up, right? So we get both legs.
Yep.
After that, then we're going to go into a side plank,
okay.
Right? So with the side plank, we'll be here. We want to stack the shoulders directly over the wrist, up, and then we're going to reach down, drive the hips up for those obliques, and we'll get 10 on each side. Okay?
Perfect.
And then last one is we'll be on our back. We're going to go for a floor bridge into a crunch, right?
Okay.
So we'll be down, drive up for that floor bridge, hips down, legs up into a crunch, right?
Perfect.
So now each exercise will go for 10 reps.
Okay.
Well, but since we're flowing today, if we hit 9, we hit 11, whatever.
It's all chill.
We're flowing.
I
So
love
I'm going to start the clock. Once the clock starts, you're in charge. You got me.
Okay.
Okay? We got 5 minutes.
Yes. Yoga Jyima. All right.
Warm up.
We're going to start standing
Okay.
at the top of the mat. We're going to have the feet together.
Okay.
Press into your toes, and then you're going to pull up through the fronts of your thighs.
Okay.
Deep breath in. Reach your arms wide and all the way to the side. And then breathing out, bring your palms to prayer at heart center. Close your eyes. Just take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Let it go. Palms down beside you. Blink your eyes open. Inhale. Reach up and look up. With your exhale breath, long spine, diving all the way down into a fold. Bring your fingertips in front of your toes and drop your head. And then take an inhalation to send the crown of your head forward and your tailbone back. Flatten your spine. Breathing out. Place your palms to the mat. Step back into a plank. From here, press the ground away from you and then grow longer in your plank. Crown of head forward, heels reaching back. Breathing out, bend your elbows, hug them towards your ribs, and lower halfway down, chaturanga, little push-up. Then inhale, untuck your toes, press into an upward facing dog. Hug the shoulder blades together, shoulders away from your ears, lifting from the base of your hearts. With your exhale breath, belly button to spine, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Let's take 3 breaths here. In and out through your nose. You can move around, maybe pedal the feet, rock out your hips, or just be still if that feels better. Try to spiral the eyes of your elbows forward, biceps forward, triceps back, and then create some space around your neck. Next breath in, pick up your right foot and stretch it high to the sky, 3-legged down dog. Breathing out, lift your left heel, hug right knee to chest, look forward and step, right foot to right thumb. Take a breath in here, sink your back knee and reach your fingertips to the sky. So back knee down, kneeling warrior, Anjaneyasana. Breathing out, step forward, fold forward, feet together at the top of the mat. Take an inhalation, halfway lift through your spine, and breathing out to bow down, forward fold, crown of head reaching to your toes. Next inhale breath, press through your feet, long spine, rising up to stand, look to your thumbs, and breathe out, palms to prayer, heart center. Inhale, reach up, look up. Try to breathe in and out through your nose. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold, big dive down. Breathing in, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Breathing out, palms to the mat, step back into plank. Breathe in, grow longer through your whole spine. Breathing out, Chaturanga, lower halfway, elbows to the ribs. Inhale to up dog, press into the tops of your feet, lift your heart, soften the shoulders. Good, breathing out, hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Belly button to spine as you glide up and back. 3 breaths here. Again, any little movements you want to take. The palms are pressing down and forward, and the feet are pressing down and backward. So this creates length in your back body. Broaden the upper back, soften the shoulders. Next inhale breath. Stretch your left leg high, 3-legged down dog. Breathing out, lift your right heel, hug left knee to your chest, look forward, see how softly you can step, left foot to left thumb, and then sink your right knee down. Breathing in, fingertips rise to the sky, kneeling warrior. And with your next exhale breath, step forward, fold forward, feet to the top of the mat. Good, inhale, halfway lift, ironing out through your spine. Exhale, bow, forward fold. Inhale, press through your feet, long spine, rising all the way up to stand, look up. Breathing out, palms to prayer, heart center. Let's just do one more sun A. So inhale, reach up and look up, fingertips high. Exhale, dive down, hug in through your core, keep your spine long. Breathe in, take a halfway lift, back for the inner thighs, forward through crown of head. Exhale, palms to the mat, step back, plank. Lean forward, shoulders move a little in front of the wrists. And with your exhalation, lower halfway down, Chaturanga, create a 90-degree bend in your elbows. Breathe in to come into upward facing dog. See if you can hover your thighs off the ground. So there's 4 points of contact with the mat, 2 hands, 2 feet. Lift your heart. And then exhale, belly button to spine, glides your hips all the way back, downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out, in and out through your nose. Micro bend your knees, tilt your sitting bones to the sky. Inhale. Exhale. Look forward, breathe in. Breathe out, travel to the top of your mat and folds.
Exercise.
All right,
Wow.
press down, come up to standing, and we're done.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was a really good stretch.
Felt good?
How'd I do?
Nice.
Good?
Yeah, you did
I was trying to keep up.
You did great.
Okay, good.
Keeping up always.
All right, so now we're gonna go into the movement circuit.
Okay.
We'll mix in some strength training with some stretching.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
So you could choose whatever leg you want to start on,
Okay.
and we're gonna go
Warm up.
for 10 reps.
Okay.
So first thing we're gonna do is drive the hips back, feel that stretch in that front leg, and then come up. We're gonna go for 10.
All right.
All right. So the other day we were chopping it up, talking, and you mentioned the concept of non-attachment.
Yes.
And it jumped out to me because I want to say in the past year, I've been paying attention to a lot of Buddhist teachings, which are cool.
Yes.
And you said that it related to a concept in yoga or a teaching called
Raga.
Raga. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to remember this. Raga.
Raga.
And Raga essentially just says that it's the concept of non-attachment.
Non-attachment. Yeah.
To specifically outcome.
Non-attachment to outcome or expectation. I think you can interpret it in many ways, but it's about kind of remaining finding your happiness basically from within, finding your peace from within rather than from external sources. I think that's kind of the root of the philosophy.
And how do you interpret that into your everyday life?
I think we can get really future oriented.
Okay.
Often. Yeah.
You got 10 other leg.
10 other side.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We can really try to predict the future or try to have our lives go in a certain way. And it creates this sort of tension. It creates this force rather than just letting things flow. And I think that can be limiting because sometimes we could never plan for the outcome that actually happens, you know? It's like a relinquishing of control is
So,
the dropping attachment.
would you say to completely abandon having an outcome that you want, or like having a goal, whether it's to, graduate from college, get a new job, get this particular job from or an audition you're going, Would you say to completely abandon having those?
No. For me, no.
No.
I think there's got to be a little bit of a balance.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know that it's necessarily like separating from goals or separating from drive or initiative or sort of taking the reins of your life,
Side planks.
but side planks. But just having a balance there. Do you think that too?
Yeah. So for me, I've always gone back and forth with this concept. And I think it's always important to almost entertain each extreme,
Yes.
right? So one extreme is being completely governed by outcomes and goals and achievements. Like, let's say I want to reach a certain amount of members by the end of the year, and I do everything to reach that. Now, what it do is it may divert me from other opportunities, right? Or actually be defined by whatever that goal was.
Yeah.
Right. So now if I don't reach that goal, now I'm like, am I a failure?
Right.
Right.
Of course.
Then the other side is completely not caring.
Yes.
Right. So now you're like, if I get there, I get there. If I don't, I don't.
Sure.
Which completely contradicts ambition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Which we know is very important.
Absolutely.
So, like you said, it always goes back to balance.
Balance. Yeah.
For me, where it hits home, and I think other people may be able to relate, is in terms of our relationships with friends, family, or significant other. Where if it could be something as simple as there's a movie that's coming out and you're going to have fun if you go with your friend.
Yeah.
And you call them up and they're like, hey, I can't make it. And now you're upset with them only because there was an outcome that you desired.
Right.
Right?
Yes. You've done all this planning in advance.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I think it happens in conversation too. You know that thing where you you're going to see somebody, you're going to have a conversation with them and you sort of plan what they're going to say and what you're going to say in advance before. And then somebody goes off script. Because the thing is,
Usually the person who didn't know about the script.
nobody had the script
Nobody
to
had
start.
the script to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it's so funny you say it, because I think that happens a lot of times where you're sitting there saying, okay, we got to do the bridge the crunch.
Time?
So,
Okay.
So we'll go 10. So hips up, down, up. We'll go 10. 10, down.
Can I say one more thing about the goals?
Give it to me.
Well, let me remember my thought real quick. Well, you said, I think that having goals is excellent and so helpful, of course, but it's about not being too attached to the goal, right?
Right. Yeah.
And allowing the goal to change if it needs to, if it makes sense for it to. Yeah. That's all.
And good. But what it requires is, we got a break. What it requires is being present.
Yeah.
And I think that's what every teaching that emphasizes non-attachment, I think is what they're saying is to be present and be in the moment. What does that, you hear that so much, but what does that mean? What does that look like? That means I should be so enthralled, so like caught up in that moment. Like, how am I breathing? How am I responding to what this person is saying?
Yes.
Is it making me angry? Is it frustrated? Well, why is it making me angry? Why is it when you're so caught up in that process of like inner work and building and being in the moment and noticing the other person and hearing their words and feeling yourself, it completely takes away from you being so fixated on trying to get them to understand you.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that's a big part, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree. Yeah. And it's magical to feel so connected to your breath, like to notice every breath that goes by. That's what I love about yoga is it's so connected to the breathing and like anchors you to being present, and then also connects you to like the other sensations in your body.
Yeah.
Such a great way of being in the moment.
Yeah.
Huh.
How often do you practice?
Every
yoga?
day.
Every day?
Yeah.
We'll go back right from the top.
Back to the top. Okay.
Yeah. And do you feel that helps?
Helps every day to practice?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a little different day to day. So I'm not doing like super strenuous yoga every day necessarily. I teach pretty much every day too, but then I have my personal practice separate. It helps me as like when I'm avoiding my yoga practice, it's usually because I'm avoiding looking at what's going on internally.
Internally.
For me, it's processing.
You know, and here's the thing, is that if you don't, and going back to like outcome, relationships, conversations, conflict, is it's sometimes a person's having a tough time understanding what we're saying because we haven't fully understood what we're saying.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So before we're so caught up in trying to get somebody to see our point of view, we have to fully like place our point of view through a high level of scrutiny.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I have one of my friends, we were talking one time, and he said, I'm a thinker. And I said, be careful when you use that term thinker, right? I said, that doesn't mean finding different ways to confirm how you already feel.
Yes.
Being a thinker means challenging what you believe in, challenging how you feel, so that when you speak to somebody, you're speaking more inclusively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And recognizing that the feeling can shift, which is, I think, this is a thing you say all the time. You always say, give it a minute, give it a week, give it a month,
right?
You know, and that is remaining unattached to the feeling that you're having, you know?
Yeah. It's
allowing for it to process and change and allowing yourself to have a better understanding of it without attaching to like, oh, I'm really angry right now and I need to continue to be angry and I'm going to tell this person I'm angry. You know?
Because they need to know.
They need to know.
They need to know.
Because this is intense for me right now. Yeah. But if you can detach from the anger a little bit or recognize that it's temporary.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which goes back to, you're always going to go back and forth. It's not giving, sometimes I think people think not having an attachment to an outcome or not completely giving into a feeling or going with a feeling, let's say anger, you feel frustrated because somebody said or did something. Sometimes they think it means abandoning that feeling. It doesn't mean.
No.
It means giving that feeling room to breathe.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
It's like you're in this conflict, somebody has said or done something, and you're like, that has frustrated me and got me upset. Now, if we say, give it a minute, give it a week, it doesn't mean never to say it.
No.
It means if that feeling is still prominent at that time, one, it may not be. Two, if it is, you could probably better express it.
You've gotten to know the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about actually looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Where do you think, if you could pick a time in your life, very specifically, where you held on to an outcome versus being not attached to the outcome, that you think making an adjustment in that would be more beneficial moving forward?
This is a good question. Held on to an outcome.
Right? It could be anything.
For me, I think it's happened the most, like as a through line in my life, kind of in relationships, both more like romantic ones or also just friendships. Because I think, you know, like human behavior and getting to know a person on a really nuanced level, it takes so much time. It's so complicated. And so trying to plan what's going to happen or trying to expect something from a person, you just kind of can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't. And I think we spoke about this before. And in my honest belief, when you're thinking about any kind of connection, let's say romantically with somebody, is whatever idea or outcome you have, at the bare minimum, it should be 50% done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Meaning that we leave room for another perspective, right?
Yes.
Or another point of view that may differ from ours,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
But what I've found is that a lot of times when we lock on to an outcome, and going back to your analogy, it's like you have a conversation coming up that you know may be contentious. You start saying, I'm going to say this, then they're going to say that.
Yes.
They say that, I'm going to come back with this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show them. A lot of times when we say, why don't you try going there without any expectations, without any desired outcomes, a lot of times people don't trust themselves.
Yes.
They think, no, because then this person will be able to get over on me and blah, 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 blah. And my response to that is, let's say your greatest strength is not being in the moment. So then, okay, still don't have a desired outcome. But when you're in that conversation, if something comes across and that you feel like you don't have enough time to process, tell the person, wait.
Yeah.
A lot of times we feel like we're having this dialogue, and because it's not in the best level of comfort, that we have to answer everything right away. So somebody says something that we didn't anticipate them saying, and it triggered us to feel a certain way. There is no rule that says we can't say, can we revisit that later?
Yes. Yes.
Can we revisit that later?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We don't do enough of that.
Yeah. To take the reactivity out of it.
Right.
From like it's a more thoughtful, more mindful place when you can take the time to really think it through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll go back to the sit back step ups. So you're saying that there's definitely those moments. So it also brings me to like when you first moved out here from.
I came from Chicago before I came here. Yeah.
You came here and then we started working together.
Yeah.
And it's like you came to LA. You're like, okay, this is what I want to do, and your plans shifted.
They really did.
They shifted.
I did not expect to be teaching fitness.
Right.
I didn't. I expected to be teaching yoga, but not HIIT, not any of the stuff I'm doing really. And it's been such an amazing thing. Like I really feel. I was speaking to one of my friends about sort of like lately I've felt this sounds really cheesy. I've felt this like very profound gratitude, really, like from inside of just like for everything that's going on, for the community that I have, for my work is so gratifying. And even like where I'm living, everything is sort of, I'm just feeling really grateful for it. And my friend was like, it's because you're living in alignment. And I was like, oh, wow. But I never expected, like in the plan of my life, that this would be the aligned thing that I was doing, but it is. Did this happen to you ever?
Yes. What you said, it sparked a few thoughts. Okay? And we'll switch legs.
Okay.
Is a lot of times we don't understand how little we know.
Yeah.
Think about how many times in your life you wanted something to go a certain way. It did happen or it didn't happen. Then you realize, oh shit, it really shouldn't have gone that way.
Yeah.
Right? So now the only way for you to be in alignment is for you to constantly focus on knowing yourself, what your truth is, what you truly believe in, what angers you, what upsets you, what makes you happy.
Yeah.
When that happens, when certain circumstances come your way, you're going to know whether or not they feel right.
Yes.
And what that makes me think of is going out of one relationship into the next one. Right? So now, and I gave you this analogy before, it's like you date this guy and he plays video games all the time. And when he's playing video games, he doesn't pay as much attention to you and your relationship.
Yeah.
And then it's eventually the thing that brings the relationship down, right?
Yeah.
Then what some people then go on and say is, you know what? I'm never dating any guy who plays video games again. Has nothing to do with the video games.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
But then you'll go out on that next date and then you're like grabbing your drink, something to eat. And you're like, so what do you like to do for fun? So I play video games. She's like, oh, I'm done. I'm out of here. Right? When in that moment, you should have done so much processing from your last relationship as far as
what angers me, what doesn't anger me, what do I want, what don't I want, how could I better communicate it, that you'll understand it has nothing to do with that particular instance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And allowing people to be individuals. One person's sort of relationship with their video game might be different than the next.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, I think, going back to the question about being in alignment,
Yeah,
one thing I can say is that I always feel at peace with my days as they come and go, because it doesn't matter what happens. As long as I'm living in my truth, I'm always good.
Yeah.
You know?
That's lovely.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've really reached a space where things could crash and burn. I mean, literally the other day, I catch somebody breaking into my car.
Oh, no.
Yeah. While for like, anybody who knows me, I have cheat days like once every month, right? I call cheat day just those things that I don't normally eat.
Yeah.
So I go to get an ice cream.
Okay.
Right? As I'm walking back from the ice cream, I catch the guy breaking in my car.
Damn.
Long story short, we end up catching him, end up getting my stuff back. But in no moment was my day thrown off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And good. And that's only because, one, I understand that things come and go.
Yes. There's
Right?
flow.
There's a flow.
There's got to be flow.
There's a flow. So if it so happened that he was supposed to take something, then cool, right? Like it was supposed to happen. Or I was supposed to be more responsible in where I parked. How did I check my car? And you take that lesson, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Has there been, for you, like in your life, moments when you had sort of expectations that were shattered in a surprising way?
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest ones was, I think, moving to LA. The first place I worked was Equinox.
Yes.
And I was like hell bent on becoming like the top manager at Equinox.
Oh,
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is it. I'm gonna be a manager here.
this is my destiny.
This is my destiny. I'm gonna put in all these hours.
Uh-huh.
And then slowly I just saw like, no, it's not in alignment with me, which is they were more about collecting payments than making sure that the client would succeed. What does that mean? Everything's attached to $1.
Yeah.
If I wanted to give away a free session, I couldn't. If I wanted to give away extra time, I couldn't.
Yeah.
So that wasn't in alignment with me. And it kind of shattered my goal of becoming that manager, but I was able to find something more alignment with. It was just helping people.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the shifting of goals, it's not because you've lost the drive that like it's important to make that distinction when you need to change a goal. It's because you didn't have all the information that you have now, but because your goal changed, because you had new information.
New information.
And so then you made the different choice that's more in alignment, but it's not because you lacked the drive to be the top manager at Equinox or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you're always going to get new info. Yours last time around. You're always going to get new information.
Yes.
I think personally, I don't know if you've gone through this, but sometimes the friendships that you have when you're younger, they don't carry throughout life.
For sure.
Right?
Yes.
And sometimes we're like, oh, but I've known this person since I was 10. I've known this person since I was 12. And we're more attached to that dynamic than what's happening in the present.
Yes.
You know, am I learning new things that are making me different than who I was yesterday? Is this person? And I think what's also really big to understand is just because you fall out of alignment with somebody, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with either of you.
No.
Right?
No.
And I think it's very important as we go through that, especially with fitness, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you'll decide to, okay, I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to change my lifestyle. And then certain friends or family may be like, why are you eating like that? It may be time for a shift because you're not attached to keeping that relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also just to like connect the attachment thing, the non-attachment concept to health and fitness, I think it can be, if you get too attached to one style of working out or one style of eating, let's say intermittent fasting or let's say keto or whatever it is you're doing, and it stops feeling good in your body, but you're attached to it.
Yeah, attached to it.
But so you're intermittent fasting, and then one day it's before your eating window opens, but you're starving. You're too attached to your intermittent fasting, so you're going to stop listening to the body signals. I think that's dangerous.
That is very.
So another way to practice it in health and fitness.
And so it's like,
That was sort of a scrambled way I said that, but
no, it made complete sense. And I think this is why I was so excited to have this conversation with you particularly, is because a lot of conversations we've had since you've been in LA, since we've talked about different things from health and fitness to relationships to friendships, everything has been around that primary desire to, one, be in alignment, and two, be at peace.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when those things are present, then you don't feel like you have to push something in that's not there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So going back to what you said about being attached to a certain way of doing things, if you squat and then run a mile and then eat protein after, and then after a year or two, it doesn't feel as good as it did before, just because it brought you results before, doesn't mean it's going to bring you results.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I got you. I was with you. I was with you.
we're there.
We there.
Even when it's a little. Yeah.
But I think but that's what, like, between relationships, professional life, career, and when we're talking about your wellness, the thing is, just because you find something that works does not mean that you should be hell-bent on staying in that space because it worked in a moment.
Forever. It's not going to work forever.
It's not going to work.
Almost for sure.
And it doesn't mean to be flighty or flaky or anything either.
Yeah.
It means to put it through a high level of scrutiny.
Yes.
And after through that scrutiny and that deliberation, if you find like this just doesn't serve either of us anymore, right? You can go side plans. Then it may be time to let go.
Reevaluate. Yeah.
Reevaluate.
Absolutely. And there's a lot to be said for routine, but then at the same time, there's that like heightened awareness of like, maybe this routine is no longer serving, and how can I create one that serves better? And
Yes.
again, it's not to say work less hard or do, let go of what makes you feel good. It's to actually find what really makes you feel good moment to moment.
Right. They could change.
Yeah,
You could change.
exactly.
Good.
Stay in the flow.
Stay in the flow.
Stay in the flow. Yeah.
What does being present to you mean? And let's say, just you can tell me what does that mean to you, being in the present?
For me, it's a lot to do with the body awareness. It's a lot to do with like the connecting to the breath and all the senses, really, because that's those keep you anchored. What you taste, what you smell, And then I think also with conversation, with interacting with other people, listening is such a beautiful way of being present. And you can tell when so many people, they don't listen. They don't listen.
Daria, what I mean to tell you, that might be, out of everything, all the conversations we've had,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I think has to be insanely significant, is that power and the value of just listening to someone.
Yeah.
The
eye contact
Mhm.
and the receiving of the information without waiting to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go, Florbridge, because I want to stay on that one.
Yeah.
So go. For me specifically, I remember a situation where I grew up with a lot of friends, and we started a business, and we were doing promotion for like different events.
Mm-hmm.
Our first event went really well.
Okay.
Then we had a meeting, and in that meeting there was like 11 of us, and everybody was pretty much disagreeing on what to do next. And I remember taking a moment and watching my friends disagree, and I was watching one disagree with the other, and I was like, shoot, if he just listened to what he was saying, they're actually saying the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
But one is so intent on getting his point across that he's not even hearing that the other person is on the same page as him. They're
Yes.
just saying it differently.
Yes.
So one thing I learned from that moment, we get two more, is when somebody says something, what I try to do is paraphrase it back to them. So, okay, you say something, I'm like, okay, so what you're saying is
Yeah.
XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Am I correct? Oh, wow. I was going to say something, but I don't even need to because I understand what you say.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then I think the second part to that is you really can't disagree with someone unless you've really understood what they say.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
We're all done.
We did it.
We did it.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was great.
Really good.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming down.
I appreciate you always.
And it seems like we always bounce that energy off each other.
Yeah.
And leave with like a new heightened level of like trying to stay balanced, trying to stay aware, and trying to stay present.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All about the mindfulness. The
Always.
breath, the listening. Yeah.
All right. Till next time, homie.
All right. Thank you.